One of the worst things is whenever you plug in a cable and you get ready to play your guitar and nothing happens. Or this is even worse whenever you're playing and then all of a sudden your signal cuts in and out. Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name is Devin Bishop. Today we're going to be talking about how you can repair a 1/4-inch cable and do it in a way that's less expensive than buying a new one. Before we get into it, consider subscribing. I do guitar related content, tutorials, and just music, and I just try to have fun along the way. So let's get into it. So first things first, I'm not necessarily a professional by any means. I've done this a couple of times, and I just want to show you guys how I repair it. And even just, give you some advice and tips on how you can do this yourself instead of having to take your cable somewhere else or throw it away. It's always worth a try to repair it, especially since a hot pin and some solder is not that expensive. And if you're already going to throw away the cable, it's worth giving it a try anyway and seeing if you can fix it. Okay, so first you're going to see me repair the cable, and then I'll walk you through step by step what I did to repair the cable. So the things you're going to need for this video today: one, you're going to need a 1/4-inch cable that needs to be repaired. Then you're going to need a hot pin and some solder. And that's pretty much it. It's nice to have some other things like pliers, as well as a utility knife, some heat shrink if you want to put that back on there. But the things you need the most are the hot pin and the solder. Other things that may help are flux, as well as the little strip that removes solder. Those things can be helpful, but they're not 100% necessary. All right, so what we're going to be doing today is going to be just restoring the connection. And so when I opened up this wire, I noticed that inside the cable was loose. And so that was one issue I was having with the cable. So then what I did was I added some solder and just redid the connection while I already had it open. I checked both sides, and one side the cable was still inside of that metal piece that holds the cable there, and the connection looked good. On the other side, it wasn't as good. So that's the part that I repaired. Okay guys, so now I'm going to carefully walk you through what I did. So step number one was I took this off and then I cut back the heat shrink. So on most cables there is a black cover here that keeps everything in place, and so I just cut some of that back, and then what was left over under here I just slid back up after. So on this cable, there's no more left over because it was really frayed and bad, and I'm not going to replace it because this is just a practice cable. So it's fine with me just like this. The first thing I noticed was you can see in the design here that this metal piece right here is connected to this whole thing right here. Okay, so this is all one piece right here, and it's designed to keep everything nice and tight when the whole cable as a whole runs into here and is clamped around the housing of it. So what I noticed was the cable was unclamped. When the cable is unclamped, your connection has the potential to get tugged on just from pulling on the wire, or if something moves here, these little wires right here can move, and it just creates a situation where your connection is unstable and cause sound to cut. Therefore, this connection is fine right here. On the other side, there wasn't that much solder. When a connection is not that good, all you need is a hot pin, and I've seen a lot of cases where there's just a wire completely out of the solder. All you need to do is liquefy the solder by getting your hot pin hot enough and then touch it, and that solder will run liquid, and you can push the wire back into the solder, and then you're good to go from there, and it'll quickly solidify and then be good to play within like seconds basically. And if you're having trouble with it or there's not enough solder, you can add a little bit of solder. Also, just try again. I would be careful about the heat of this. Also be careful of the wires, because the wires themselves can heat up just from touching these ends and can melt some of the plastic. So you do want to be careful about when you're using this, but altogether, even if the plastic melts just a little bit, it should be fine. So when your hot pin gets hot enough, you just touch the solder right here and you'll see that these wires will move. Just like that. Now, the last tip I have is when you're using this, just touch a little, pull back, touch a little, pull back. You don't want to hold there for a long time and get everything really, really hot because your wires will pull out. But just touch it a little, push it down, and then pull back. You know, if you start to see a lot of smoke, and even if your wires come off, you'll be fine. You can redo it. So that's it. That's all you need. And then you just screw it back together after you make sure your connection is good. Your cable is in place on this middle piece right here. If you want to put heat shrink back to keep everything in place, you can. I'm not going to on this one. And then you just screw it back on, and that's it. Good to go. So thanks for tuning in today, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.